Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. We're here for the Calgary Emergency Management Agency's update on the 16th Avenue water main break. We're here in the Emergency Operations Center. Joining us today is Mayor Jyoti Gondek, SEMA Chief Sue Henry, Infrastructure Services General Manager Michael Thompson, and Capital Priorities and Investment Director Francois Bouchard. We'll hear their updates. We'll take your questions afterwards. Please limit yourself to a question and a follow-up, and I'll hand the podium over to the Mayor. Thank you.
Thanks, Sherry. Oki, Dadanastada, Ambawastich, Tansei, and happy Canada Day, everyone. I hope you've had a chance to take in some Canada Day activities or that you have some plans for later on today. And don't forget that there will be fireworks tonight at the Stampede grounds at 11 p.m. While you can't be on the grounds, you can certainly watch the fireworks from so many beautiful places in our city. This year, I hope that all of you are celebrating the fact that you have ramped up what it means to be Canadian. Your incredible efforts at saving water during this feeder main break have solidified our position as the most collaborative place on Earth. Now, while that may not be an official designation, I certainly think it should be, because you used only 425 million liters of water yesterday. That is the best that we have done since we saw this feeder main break on June the 5th. I appreciate how seriously you have taken the calls to action and the quickness that you have shown in cutting down your indoor water uses. This truly couldn't have been done without a collaborative effort from all of you, and I want you to know that your efforts are seen and they are greatly valued. Today, we remain in the stabilization stage. Please remember that while this is the final step in restoring our water system, it is also the one that holds the greatest amount of risk. If we start things up too quickly, if we introduce too much pressure or too much water into the system, we stand the chance of failure. And that's not something we want to do as we are in this final stage. That's why our water teams have been very careful and measured and gradual in their approach to reintroducing water into the feeder main, as well as the 5,000-kilometer network of pipes under the ground. That's also why we're not done playing our roles yet. We still need to keep up water-saving efforts until we know we have the all clear. We're so close, and I know that we can pull this off if we just keep our water savings up a little while longer. Now, before I turn things over to Calgary Emergency Management Agency Chief Sue Henry, I'd like to note that my live stream tomorrow will be at 10:30 a.m. instead of the usual 8:30. And I'll explain a bit more about that in a few moments, but let me turn things over to Chief Henry.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on a holiday Monday. First, I want to say thank you to all Calgarians for their water conservation efforts yesterday. We reduced our water usage by a record-setting 29%, and we know you've been working very hard to conserve, and this shows. So thank you for making every drop count. Today is Canada Day. Our country is 157 years old, and we are so lucky to live, work, and play in such a wonderful part of the world. We hope that you are able to gather and celebrate Canada's birthday at one of the amazing, exciting events and activities that are planned around our city, culminating with celebratory fireworks tonight. On a day where we celebrate Canada Day and all that we stand for, including friendliness, selflessness, and compassion, I want to share a story with you. Yesterday afternoon, one of our crews, Crew 735, were packing up near the Bow River when they became aware of a raft carrying a large group of people that had struck a pillar and capsized. This was about 350 meters upstream from where the crew was working. These 3 crew members immediately jumped into action. One called 911, 2 others threw ropes towards the individuals in the water. And because Crew 735 had been working on the banks of the river, they were all wearing life jackets. One individual was rescued using a rope thrown into the water. 2 other individuals were rescued when one of our crew members jumped into the river to pull them to safety. While on the line with 911 dispatch, a 3rd crew member saw that more help was needed, put his phone down, jumped into the river, and swam to the other 2 individuals and rescued them both from the river. The remaining occupants of the raft were able to make it to the riverbanks on their own, and all occupants were accounted for. Fire and EMS arrived very quickly afterward. We simply cannot thank these crew members enough. What they did is nothing short of heroic and inspiring. All of our crews have worked tirelessly through this event, and to know that these 3 crew members working this emergency situation, jumped into action to help others is really what makes this a wonderful city and what our country is all about. So thank you to these crew members. We do have good news regarding the repair work. The Bears Paw feeder main is back in service and has been reintroduced into the rest of the distribution system. We are continuing to stabilize the water system and will continue to operate that system at a reduced capacity. We are now adjusting how water flows and will continue to monitor the system for breaks and leaks. I hope many of you have had the opportunity to take in Canada Day celebrations this afternoon and into this evening. It's been a challenging few weeks for many, and it's nice to have a reason to celebrate. The day will end with a fireworks show at approximately 11 p.m., launched from Stampede Park. This display will light up the sky in the downtown core and surrounding areas, and we hope it caps off a nice long weekend for you. Some of you may have left the city and are coming back into town from the weekend, and if you have a carload of dirty laundry, please consider spreading it out over the week, washing full loads only. Until then, please continue to conserve water as you have been doing. Keep skipping or shortening your showers, washing only full loads of laundry and dishes, and collecting rainwater for watering gardens and filling toilet tanks. Thank you again, and I'll now pass it over to General Manager of Infrastructure Services, Michael Thompson.
Thank you, Chief, and good afternoon. We continue to make progress with our efforts to stabilize the water distribution network. Yesterday, we reconnected the feeder main to the rest of our system. We've been slowly increasing the amount of water flowing from the Bears Paw water treatment plant through the feeder main and into the rest of the network. Right now, the feeder main is carrying about half of its maximum capacity. This gradual approach is because this is the highest risk step of the process to restore water service. We've been using acoustic and pressure monitors to closely watch system performance. And so far, we have not heard any indications of further issues with the feeder main. As we work to reconfigure the water system to the original water flow, we have not noticed any abnormal leaks or breaks elsewhere in the system. Our plan is to continue to monitor the system and make decisions as we go forward with respect to flows in the pipe. I appreciate that everyone is very interested in when we might begin to ease water use restrictions. We are moving in a positive direction, but for now I would like to once again ask you to continue with your water conservation measures. We have experienced some turbidity issues since last night, which has created cloudy tap water for some Calgarians. While this water is safe to drink and the turbidity is not unexpected, we want to continue to look at our system's performance through today and overnight tonight. Tomorrow we will review our data and decide whether we can ease some of our water saving measures. You will have an update tomorrow about whether we are ready to ease some of those reductions and restrictions or if more time is needed. I want to caution that we do not expect to ease all restrictions all at once. We will focus on easing indoor water saving measures first. After we ease indoor water saving measures, we will need to let the system stabilize more before we announce any changes to our outdoor water restrictions. Again, we will be able to let you know tomorrow whether we are ready to start easing indoor water conservation measures. In the meantime, thank you for your ongoing patience and support, making every drop count. I would like to welcome Director of Capital Priorities and Investment, Francois Bouchard, to provide some more details on progress and next steps.
Thank you, GM Thompson, and good afternoon, everyone, and happy Canada Day. As GM Thompson shared, we have reconnected the feeder main to the rest of our system, and we are in the stabilization step of restoring water service. Stabilization is a gradual process and is the stage of greatest risk. We started by turning on 2 smaller pumps at the Bears Paw water treatment plant, and we'll be gradually adding additional pumps. Turning on the pump brings the feeder main into operation for the first time since June the 5th. After each adjustment to our operations, we wait to let the pressure spike stabilize before we add more water and increase the pressure again. Throughout this process, we are monitoring. So far, the system is responding well. We are aware that some customers are seeing cloudy water when they turn on their taps. This is also known as turbidity. This is an aesthetic issue only, and drinking water continues to be safe to consume. As we increase the flow of the water through the feeder main, it creates turbulence, which can cause turbidity and cloudy water. This is not unexpected as a result of reconnecting the Bearspaw South feeder main to our system and restoring the operations. I would like to thank all Calgarians for continuing to do your part as we navigate water restrictions together. As a reminder, the 4 most impactful ways you can reduce water use in your home are limiting your laundry to essential and full loads, limit running your dishwasher when it's full, limiting your showers to 3 minutes or skipping a day if possible, and limiting the flushing to only when it's necessary. Remember, every drop counts. I would like to invite the mayor back to the podium at this time.
Thank you, Director Bouchard. There's a lot going on in terms of stabilizing the water system, and I appreciate our experts providing us with information about how the monitoring is going, and in particular highlighting that some of you may be seeing cloudy water, but again, that's just how it looks. It is perfectly safe to drink, and we anticipate that this is only a temporary condition, which is to be expected in a process like this. By tomorrow, we will have more information on how the monitoring is going. And I have changed the morning live stream timing to 10:30 a.m. to make sure that I can provide you with as much information as possible from the overnight monitoring that is taking place. By 10:30 tomorrow morning, we'll have a better idea how close we are to easing away from indoor reduction measures. We're not at a place yet to lift outdoor water restrictions or the fire ban, but we should know more tomorrow morning about how much longer we will need to continue saving water indoors. So I will see you on the live stream at 10:30 a.m. tomorrow. Until then, be well, please keep being great water stewards like you have been, and keep taking care of each other. With that, I'll turn it over to Sherry to field questions from media.
Thank you, Mayor. Megan, local news. So I know we'll get more update on the indoor water restrictions tomorrow. In the past, you've mentioned that there's triggers or thresholds for those outdoor water restrictions. Just wondering what those are and when, like, at what point in the process will we get a better idea of what they are and when they will be implemented?
So tomorrow we'll be talking more about easing of those indoor water conservation measures. We're really going to be monitoring the system over the coming days and looking at what our production rates are, looking at how the pipe is doing and how the entire distribution network's doing. We have to make sure that everything is stabilized before we look at those next steps. So more information to come in the coming days.
Follow, Megan? Yeah, kind of on a different topic. But more about the contingency plans that we have in place. I know you keep, like everyone's been saying, this is the riskiest part of the process, and we do have contingency plans. We do have that material on place. But I guess we have Stampede kicking off in a couple of days. I think everyone's very aware of what could go wrong. What are those, if something were catastrophic were to happen again, kind of what's the plan of attack?
Yeah, I might start and I'll talk about the contingency plans we've been building with respect to the pipe and if there are other issues that we could see within the pipe and the feeder main. And then I might ask Chief Henry to talk about any of the contingency plans that the EOC and SEMA works with its partners. With respect to the pipe, like I've mentioned, we have purchased additional parts so that if there is another water main break, we have those parts ready. So we now have 3 segments of pipe so that we're ready to install those. If there should be another issue arise, we've built the adapters required to weld those pieces of steel pipe into the concrete pipe. We've gone and we've purchased some external wraps that we can use to put some reinforcing around pieces of pipe that might be weaker and need some reinforcing. We'll be running an inspection tool through the entire system once it's back up and running through this entire feeder main so that we can inspect the entire condition of it and understand what we need to do. So those are just a few of the pieces that we have in place. Additionally, I've mentioned in the past, we have equipment on site so that if there is an issue, we can mobilize quickly. We've got backhoes and pumps on site so that we can really address any issues that might arise quickly. We've got crews on standby. So from a construction perspective and a planning perspective for any issues that might come up. Those are some of the pieces that the City of Calgary has been working on. I might ask Chief Henry if she'd like to talk about any of the contingency planning that partners have been doing.
Thank you. So at the Emergency Operations Center, we have for weeks now been doing some contingency planning, and that's in our fire department to make sure that we have alternate firefighting strategies. It's in our non-potable water distribution planning. It's also the Calgary Stampede is one of our agency members, so that means that they're downstairs integrated into this planning, and they've done an incredible amount of work to be able to source water from other municipalities to bring potable water to the Stampede. They've done work to be able to bring non-potable water as well that they can use for watering flowers and watering their gardens. As well, they've done some extra setup in terms of fire safety to be able to pull water directly from the river should something happen on the Stampede grounds.
Taylor, CBC. So is there anything that Calgarians should be looking out for as they turn on the taps in this next week? Other than, I guess you said gray water turbidity, but is there anything like water pressure or anything else Calgarians will notice as it gets up and running?
Great question. In terms of what Calgarians can expect as the system comes on, we've already flagged the possibility that the water might appear cloudy, but for most Calgarians, they shouldn't see much of a change. There might be a slight shift in terms of the pressure that they experience, but it should be very minimal. And the other possibility is that they might find that the water tastes a little different. The reason for that is that we do have two water sources. We have the Bow and the Elbow that provide water to the city. And they do taste slightly different even after they're fully treated and fully safe and meet all standards. So depending on where you are in the city, you might find that the taste is slightly different, but nothing that people should be concerned about.
And I had another question about just, so the update is at 10:30 tomorrow to give as much information as possible, and there's going to be testing done tomorrow. Is there a chance that tomorrow at the 10:30 update you could say, okay, the plan is now we're going to start like easing those restrictions and everything's back to normal?
Yeah, the goal of the 10:30 a.m. live stream tomorrow is to have as much information as we can from the monitoring that's going on today and overnight. Trying to do it at 8:30 at the regular time, I'm a little concerned that I may not have the most up-to-date information, and so the teams have committed to gathering as much data as they can and providing me with the most comprehensive update we can have. So at 10:30, we will be able to tell you a lot more about what we're seeing.
Thanks. Brent, Post Media?
Is there any more specific information on where usage is coming from, and how much of that draw do you chalk up to people going on vacation, perhaps?
So we don't necessarily have the ability to track whether water usage is up or down based on people coming into the city or people being on vacation, but we can estimate that a lot of people have gone away for the long weekend, and so that may be one of the reasons that water usage is down. However, we've also had rain, and so water usage is down in that regard as well, and people have developed some pretty good habits over the last 3 weeks. So I would like to think that Calgarians dug pretty deep and brought down their water consumption.
Sounds good. Any other questions? Last question? Looks like we're good. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.